So an all-white fire chief association is blaming a black fire chief for the floods that happened in Texas. An all-white people are blaming a black fire chief for the floods in Texas. You're blaming the wrong color. The color you should be blaming is orange. And he's in the White House. All the blame should go to him. All of it. The nerve to blame anybody black. You had a chance to blame it on a black person, but you voted for someone who was orange when you could have voted for someone who was black. Y'all said no. 77 million of you, plus the ones who didn't vote, plus the ones who voted third party. You could have blamed it on someone black, but you didn't. So blame it on someone orange. Blaming this on a black fire chief is insane work, nefarious work, nasty, nasty work.
Hello America, good morning. I believe all of you are all fine and doing well. I'm Marvin for those new here, and it's an honor to have you here watching my YouTube video. Kindly feel free to hit the subscribe icon below and follow my page. Thank you. If you find this video educative, kindly share to your family and friends so all of us can get a clear knowledge on the subject matter. Today, we will be discussing the recent floods in Texas and its impact on the general community. At first, all the blame fell on Donald Trump's administration and organization for ignoring funding, the weather forecasting, and natural disasters weather warnings. To all our surprise, now they are busy blaming a black folk. MAGA is blaming a black fire chief for the floods in Texas. A fire chief that is located 300 miles from the flood areas, almost a 2-hour drive away. The man who was supposed to give the flood warning, his job was cut by Dodge, so he took an early retirement. They won't talk about that. Even when an ABC network reporter asked, they refused to answer the question. At this point, I feel first-hand shame for these people, because how can you blame a black fire chief for a natural disaster? Wow, I'm not even American, but them. How the IE will be blamed for everything happening under this administration. The plane-helicopter collision was blamed on the AI too. Black people and women gonna be scapegoats for the next 4 years. Let's watch the following and see the reactions of angry Americans responding to MAGA blaming a black chief for floods in Texas.
What up, beautiful people? Now, I know the education system is really fucked up here in America, but it can't be this fucked up. Y'all do know that the fire department is not the weather department, right? Do we know that? I mean, are we okay? Did some of us fall and bump our motherfucking heads? The weather folks will let you know when there's a storm coming. There's another team under them that is supposed to be monitoring the systems to alert the public of severe storms, to alert the public that it's time to get the fuck out of the way of the fucking storm. That's not the fire chief's job. But see, you racist folks, because he's a nigga. For those of y'all that don't know what a nigga is, it's an educated black brother. We can use that word, you can't. But I digress, because the black brother is the chief. Y'all want to blame somebody so bad, so you go after the nigga. Racist as fuck on display. There's no getting around it. We see what's happening here. Y'all don't want to place blame on the individuals that are in charge, and they're all white. You don't need to say anything further. I'm tired of you racist motherfuckers. I really, truly am. Y'all lack education, you lack depth, you just lack everything. And the easy out is to blame it on the brother, because you're too fucking caught up in that cult to put the truth where it lies. For the very people that you continue to vote for, they continue to fuck you over. because they're white. You're white. Some of y'all Hispanics, Mexicans, other nationalities, and they can't stand y'all motherfucking asses. But you still try to drink the Kool-Aid and breathe the same air. Well, I'm here to tell you that shit ain't gonna hold water. We see what's going on. Y'all trying to blame that man because he's black. Blame the very people that took away the systems that could have been in place to help you folks get out of the situation that you're in. Y'all don't want to talk politics during this time of need, but y'all sure will do racist shit, won't y'all? Y'all do the racist shit ever during a crisis. Make it make sense, folks. Make it make sense. The problem is now with you motherfuckers is we are all paying attention. And we ain't gonna let you get away with that shit. Leave that black man alone. He was trying to do his job. But unfortunately, the white men at the top fucked up the systems to help him do what he was hired to do. Place blame where it should be placed blame at. You feckless fucks. Cut this shit out. It's 2025. Pretty soon, a lot of y'all gonna be busting y'all backs in them cornfields. So you might want to correct your path before they drag your ass out to these next farms, bitches. Cause a good 72% of you motherfuckers is on Medicaid and Medicare, and they're looking for farm workers. Because of your racism, you just might be picking that fruit, bitch. Figure it out. But quit blaming niggas for y'all white folks' mistakes. Period.
So it didn't take long for the MAGA white nationalists to blame black people. Whenever they have a chance, they'll blame black people, gay people, women. So the folks on the ground, the white men, are blaming a black fire chief for the disaster and the deaths in Texas. Yep. An all-white fire chief association is blaming a black fire chief. A Fox News pundit is blaming this black fire chief. Charlie Kirk is calling it another DEI hire that has resulted in tragic deaths. And you guys want to know who they're blaming? The fire chief of Austin, Texas. Austin is 2.5 hours away from Hunt, Texas, the hardest hit part of the flood, where the Christian camp is located. 2.5 hours away, they're blaming a black fire chief. This is their effort, if you can't see it by now, to put only white, straight men in leadership positions, in power, accumulating all the wealth, and having everybody else work in menial slave labor type jobs. This is why education is being gutted. This is why DEI has been destroyed. This is why brown people are being deported. This is all of it. He must have been the closest black fire chief they could find, 2.5 hours away.
Y'all not gonna believe what I'm about to tell y'all. If they started blaming the Texas flood on black people. Look at this.
What you are not being told by the media anyway is that the death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. This Texas tragedy is just the latest example.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Of all the MAGA people out here, Charlie Kirk is probably the dumbest. And this dude keeps on bragging about not going to college. You should have gone to college. You should have, because you are dumb as a motherfucker. Blaming a natural disaster on black people is wild. That's God's work. God is doing that. Does that mean that Charlie Kirk believes that God is a person of color? Because you're blaming a natural disaster on black people. Does that mean that you believe that God is a person of color? I'll take that.
Charlie Kirk said that the death toll from the catastrophic Texas floods was the result of DEI. According to the undergreed Charlie Kirk, people died in Texas not because of historic rainfall, crumbling infrastructure, or a failed government response, but because of black people. Sir, you dropped out of you dropped out of community college. You literally went through all of the people that served in the response to what happened with the Guadalupe River, and you identified the one black leader there and said that he was the reason that people died. Let's stop pretending that this is about policy. This is about projection. Gums and Teeth is part of a movement that can accept that black and brown people deserve to lead, to manage, to govern, because when we do, we expose just how shallow, scared, and unserious these types of ignorant, racist grievances really are. The Texas flooding is a tragedy. It is one of the greatest tragedies that we have seen in 2025. People lost homes, family lost loved ones, and instead of offering empathy or solutions, Gums and Teeth is blaming inclusion. Baby, the only thing that DEI is drowning out is this man's credibility. And let's be honest, it was already underwater. It was already underwater, bish.
So you mean to tell me that in Kerr County, Texas, they have found a way to blame a black man for the floods? Not the person who cut the budget of the National Weather Service, NOAA, and FEMA. You're not going to blame him. You're not going to blame his evil sidekick. Y'all going to blame the police chief of Austin for those floods because he ain't moved fast enough. Y'all don't believe me? Y'all don't believe me? Here it is. And here he is. I mean, now I thought the most bizarre thing that I heard about this whole situation, other than the history of it, someone said that one of either the pastors or one of the church members pretty much said that the reason why those young ladies met their demise was because they didn't pray hard enough. Someone said that. Someone from that community said that. A leader said that. So I guess when that didn't land the way they expected, now they want to blame the black police chief, and they're going to have a vote of no confidence and push to have him fired because they're blaming him for this. I have to keep saying it because I'm trying to make sense of it. For anyone on the outside of this conversation, of the Essence conversation, of the diaspora conversation, anyone on the outside or in agreement with the other side of that conversation, this is why we are standing on business the way we are. Hundreds of years of people playing in our faces. And we're finally waking up on a cultural level. We're waking up on an ancestral level because we have to be strong and ready to fight in our vibrational secret place, the place that a certain demographic wants to get into so bad that it almost drives them insane. That place that no one else can touch unless one of your ancestors came over on one of those ships. We have to be strong enough to fight in that lane, in that zone, that spiritual fight against stuff like what's going on with Essence and stuff like this now. Please look this up. Please do your research. Whatever you do, however you do it, please do it. It's time to ring the dinner bell. It's time for everybody to come on in. We got work to do.
You're not supposed to say this, but these people in Texas helped create the disaster that killed them. They voted down safety measures, they rejected federal funding, and now they want silence, sympathy, and your donations. But I'm not going to let that happen. We're going to talk about what really happened here, why these people are responsible. This wasn't just a flood, and it damn sure wasn't just a natural disaster. This was a man-made tragedy that was the result of decades of political cowardice, ignored warnings, and deliberate inaction from the people who had the power to prevent it and chose not to. Kerr County had everything they needed to prevent this, They had the warnings. They applied for grants. They received federal funding, and they chose to spend it on anything other than a warning system for the river. With COVID recovery funds in hand, they instead bought the sheriff's department new radios and gave the sheriff's department raises instead of putting other people first and building the system they knew for decades they needed. They said using this money that came from Democrats was against their values and would result in them selling out if they used it for a warning system. In fact, some Kerr County residents requested that the county give the money back to the federal government because they didn't want any money from any Democrat. Let that sink in. They chose an ideology over an infrastructure that would save people's lives, and they chose politics over people. In fact, Dick Eastland, one of the owners of Camp Mystic that I've been very critical of, lobbied after a 1987 flood that killed 10 campers in a separate camp to have a warning system built, and it was built. And then the River Authority dismantled it in 1999, saying it was outdated and no longer needed. Even with all the warnings in place, the River Authority and the local county did nothing to replace the system, and even Dick Eastland continued to lobby for a new system, but he wasn't willing to put up any of his money. But he was continuously held down by this system above him and their inaction. And it's true, he was appointed to the River Authority Board in 2022, but that was too late to do anything at that point. The dies had already been cast, and they couldn't get this built in time. And let that sink in. Even somebody who knew the risks, who lobbied for it, who was considered royalty in that area, could not convince the community to fix this known issue that would cost hundreds their lives. And then the storm came, and the National Weather Service issued all of their warnings. In fact, they had the warnings out at the right time. But Kerr County officials waited 90 minutes to push the warning system out in their outdated alert system that they had refused to fund. No alerts, no sirens, no phone calls, no evacuations until it was too late. And now the same leaders who failed, the same people that are supposed to protect people, are instead pointing fingers and doing everything to dodge responsibility and accountability for their actions. They're pointing fingers, they're blaming the weather, they're blaming the river. In some cases, they're blaming the victims, all while saying now's not the time to talk about this. And some of them aren't even doing that much. They're outsourcing the responsibility to God, saying that this was God's plan. It was His will. He'll comfort us. God knows everything. But let's be clear, God didn't cut FEMA funding, God didn't reject federal funding, and God didn't wait 90 minutes to send an alert. People did that, leaders did that, and the voters allowed that. This wasn't divine will, this wasn't Mother Nature, this was a leadership failure. No amount of prayer, no amount of divine intervention is going to fix what cowardice and neglect destroyed. And they continue to say, now is not the time. And they said that after Columbine. They said that after Parkland. They said that after Sandy Hook. They said that after the Pulse nightclub. They said that after Las Vegas. They say that after every single preventable death. So I'll ask now, what they never want to answer. If not now, when? When do we talk about why nobody warned the public? Why did they choose sheriffs over sirens? Why did they cut funding, blocked aid, and left their own communities defenseless? If not now, when do we hold them accountable? This wasn't a natural disaster. This was a leadership failure, and we know exactly who failed.
That's what they do, to blame others for the mistakes of themselves, not accepting responsibility. That's what cowards do. Because they can't take responsibility for themselves. That's why I do not like white people, mostly because of how they act. They are trying to blame anybody, but the one who is responsible, and that is the person in State House. That fire chief is in totally different county. Travis County is 2 hours away from Kerr County, where the major flooding took place. They have a major problem with accountability. Kerr County had approved a flood alert system in April, but it wasn't operational by July 4th. Since black people are so powerful that now they are creating floods, more power to the people. Black America is hungry. What's your response to this argument? Who should be blamed? Weather department or fire department? Share your thoughts on the comment section below, and remember, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.